Hello there, I'm Eamonn Holmes and welcome to the latest of my series, Eamonn and The Gaffers, and what a gaffer I've got for you this time round. This is a podcast. You can get it from wherever you get your podcasts from, and you can watch this interview live on Facebook, my Facebook page, or on the Eamonn and The Gaffers YouTube page as well. This gaffer, he's gaffered at Gainsbury, Trinity, Burton Albion, Scarborough, Notts County, Torquay United, Huddersfield Town, Plymouth Argyle, Oldham Athletic, Bury, Sheffield United, Crystal Palace, Queen's Park Rangers twice, Leeds United, Crystal Palace, QPR again there, Rotherham United, Cardiff City. He is the legend that is Mr. Neil Warnock. Neil, very good to see you and hear you.
Yeah, nice to see you too, Eamonn. Yeah.
Neil, are you keeping well?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, in the circumstances, it's we're down in Cornwall, so it's a great part of the country. But even here, we've had neighbours that's contracted the virus at times. They were in the mental health and NHS, so it's a difficult time for everyone, isn't it, at the moment?
Oh, it really is. It really is. When we can talk on podcasts and videocasts like this, and we can reminisce about a lot, but the reality that we are presented with is just as you have described it, and also this whole project restart. Is it good for morale that football should be back? Is it good for the nation? Is it good or bad for players' health? Where do you stand on project restart?
Personally, I don't want it to restart, Eamonn, for the wrong reasons. I think we're talking about life and death now. And we haven't got to forget that. So whilst the financial situation and the problems that football is having at the moment, I just don't want us to rush personally. The Premier League in particular, I would like to see it finished whenever it is safe. And I can only see that really by all the clubs isolating the whole squads and medical staff if they're going to play behind closed doors, and isolating for the 5-6 weeks it will take to finish the games. I don't see any other way around that. But other than that, it's got to be for the right reasons when it comes back. It can't be gambling with somebody's life, and players have got to be given the opportunity to say no if they've got vulnerable family relatives, etc., etc.
I was looking at a headline back of one of the newspapers today, and it was players saying we're not being listened to in all of this. The clubs are being listened to, the authorities are being listened to, the government is being listened to, but people just aren't hearing what we are saying. How important is it that they should have a voice in all of this?
I think they've got to do it. It's imperative, because somebody asked me the other day, as a manager, what would you do with your players? How would you go about players? Well, I would get them all together and explain that, look, we've got a situation where we're being told we're back at a certain date, this, that, and the other. But I don't want anybody in my squad to come back before they want to come back. And I won't penalise you or punish you if you stay away. You've got to be in the right mood to come back as and when. I don't think we can force players into coming back.
And then actually, those who do want to go back, those who have no objection, nobody vulnerable in their families, they may well think. We've got the practicalities, Neil, of sweating, of spitting, of close contact. Explain that to me.
Yes, but if they're all tested and they're all negative beforehand, and they keep isolation and they keep the whole squad, like I said, 25 players and medical staff, that's the only way for me, Eamonn, that they can do it. Because there is, like you're saying, sweating, spitting, all sorts of things happening on the football field, which you can't have a game of football without. So,
do you think you could have a game of football with a mask on?
No, I don't know. I don't think you can do that either. So everybody's going to be looking at the Bundesliga, aren't they, really? And have a look at how they're coping and what the situation is. Slightly different with them because they've been in lockdown a lot longer than us, and they're not really, as a country, they've done it. They seem to have done really well in what they've done. But it'll be interesting to see how they react to behind closed doors and what precautions they're taking, and hopefully no fatalities. I still think we're guessing a bit, Eamonn, on this. We're desperate to get sport back for people to have something else on their minds, but it's got to be back. It's got to be for the right reason.
If you were a manager now, right, and what happens? Are you told to do, the club say, Neil, we're back, get them together, get them playing, or would you be saying, listen to the players, listen to me, or what reservations would you have? How comfortable would you be, being a manager in charge of a squad of players and saying you're going out there?
Well, I would only be confident in doing that, Eamonn, if I'd spoken to the top medical people and they 100% assured me that you could be isolated as a squad and the medical staff, and it was safe to do so, safe to play in that stadium on that particular day. And I think they're going to have to test players before and after games, and they're going to have to keep them all together for 5 or 6 weeks. It's the only way around it, really. You get players going home after the game, for example.
Yeah.
And the whole thing starts up again. Where are they? Who are they going to have contact with, and what? I think they've got to isolate all the squads if they're going to do that.
But then what happens? What happens if one of them or two of them come down with COVID-19? Is that the team then drawn out of the fixture list?
I think so, Eamonn. Yeah, I do, honestly.
So that just doesn't sound possible then, that you can complete.
All I want to make sure is that people don't forget it's life or death.
Yeah.
If the football season doesn't play another game this year, and we don't have any fatalities, then but one fatality by coming back early is too many for me.
Yeah, not disagreeing with anything that you're saying there, but we've still got that situation where you've got clubs and the horrendous financial pressure they're going to be under in all leagues, not just the lower leagues here as well. The pressure on the clubs for those clubs to survive is absolutely immense. I
do fear in Division 1 and 2 about fatalities, if I'm honest. I do fear. I've always thought that the Premiership should help the lower division clubs a little bit more in the situation they're in. I know they're in a situation where they're worried about revenue as well, and they've got commitments with television and all this and that. But we've never seen anything like this before. And I just think, I know they've brought the payments forward that the EFL were going to receive in September, something like that, but they haven't given them anything. That's what they're entitled to. I just feel that the Premier League should give them. It's a one-off thing, this. I think they should help out the lower division clubs a little bit more, if I'm honest, at this moment in time.
A few of the Premiership clubs will be saying, who's going to help us out as well? When you look at the situation, when you look at the contracts, when you look at the wages some of the players are on, would you think, Neil, that there will be a realignment from here on in terms of transfer fees, in terms of wages, in terms of agents' fees? What's your prediction there?
I do think that it might be a wake-up call for the industry, really. As I said, we've not seen anything like this before. I'm not sure we might go back to that, where they have the wage cap and things like that. I don't see how that can work in football, because if you want the best, you have to pay for the best, and I can't see that. If you have a limit on your salary cap and things like that, clubs will find a way around that. So the reality will be, when we do come out of it, what is the financial implication then? What are the television companies? How are they going to view this from afar? Because they've put a lot of money in at the moment. They're not getting games, are they? They've all got shareholders to please and everything. So they're all going to look at the sport again, I think, in a different light.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody can really put the finger on what they're going to do, or what we're all going to do.
Neil, let me talk to you personally about maybe things you look at in a different light or not. You look at the past couple of years of what you in your football life have experienced, right? You have been there. How many years are we talking about? 50 years or so in the game? Yeah.
Don't shout it out.
Yeah. But, you look at it, my friend, what you have experienced. You talk about paying money. You're paying, when you're at Cardiff City, you're buying players at 4 million quid, where the minimum other clubs are paying are 40 million quid. You're operating under those restrictions. You have a year where you go down, you're relegated from the Premier League as well. And then worst of all, Emiliano Sala in that airplane crash. There must have been for you, when you look back at all that now, you think, you didn't sign up to all of this. This isn't what it's all about. It must be an awful time to look back on.
Yeah, I mean, my time at Cardiff was a fabulous time to look back on football-wise. Yes, we had our, disappointments in the Premier League, but the club, when I took over, was very fragmented, and I think I've helped to put it back together again. And the incident that you talked about with Emiliano was, I mean, as a manager, you'd never come across anything like that. Even with all my experience. So it's something that I wouldn't want to go through again.
What effect did Milanos Sala's death have on you and the family? It must have made you think. I mean, what impact did it have on you? Well,
it's something that never, you don't actually see anything like that happening. It's only when it's there that you look back and. It was a bit of it still is really, it's a little bit of a haze. It happened so quickly, and yes, there's always questions to answer, and in your own mind, could I have prevented it? Should I have made him go to Newcastle with us that particular day when I said to him, I'd like you to come to Newcastle with us. He wanted to go and see his friends, and understandable, really. So there's all sorts of things that crop up and what have you. But it's you just have to get through it. You just have to get through it. You've also got a family. You've also got a team to manage. You've got the club to manage.
Yeah.
You've got all the media to talk to. It's just like I say. I've never known anything like that. If I'm honest. Emotionally, the game after, I think it was Bournemouth, I was all right until the final whistle. I always go on to the pitch and clap the far side of the dugout. The fans are brilliant there, and I always go on there and go around the back of the goals. We won the game, and the lads were, they were saying, we're all saying, let's do it for Emiliano and things like that. I wasn't on my own. I think there were one or two players as well who felt it emotionally as well. And nothing you can do about that. It has to come out, and you're a human being, and you think of things walking around the pitch, and you think about your own family, etc. And it just emotional at the time.
How did you hear the news? Where were you when you were told?
I was at home, and a lad who worked in the looked after the player liaison officer was meeting him, and he just ran to say that Gaffer, they've lost contact with the plane. That's all he said, and he was in shock as well. Really, it was weird, really, because it was strange. Just being told like that, it was strange. It was really strange, and you can't put into words in.
Very sad, very, very sad. Neil, there's a few things I'd like to get your take on, your perspective on that seem to be sticking points for Project Restart. One is neutral venues. In your position when you were at Cardiff, how important would it be to have a home advantage?
I wouldn't want to play at neutral ground.
Oh, you wouldn't want to play, right? Okay, yeah.
I don't see any reason for that either.
Right.
Unless it's just the policing and etc., and they're worried about the crowds coming into the car park, etc. But I don't think, people said that having a home advantage helps you. Like you get your lower clubs against the big clubs. You've got your fans. So if there's no fans, I can also see the other way in the fact that these clubs will also be playing against clubs in the relegation battle themselves, and it will not be as difficult to go to their club away from home. as it would have been in normal. So I think it's, I don't see, if they are going to do it behind closed doors, I think it can only be at their particular ground. I think they will use their own grounds. I don't see any other way around that, if I'm honest. And I do, like I say, you know when you go to a certain ground, Loftus Road, you know what I mean. You know when you go to Loftus Road, wow, that's difficult to play against when you're an away team because they're right on top of you. Yeah. So I understand that, but when there's no crowds, I just can't see an advantage or a disadvantage for anybody, really. I think we're just going through the motions to get the 9 games done. That's what I think. I think, it's unfortunate, but I don't see any other way. I wouldn't want the seasons to be finished now. I'm not, I think even if it took till September, October, that we should finish the season, mate, because there's too many questions.
Okay, but that brings us to the whole question of promotion and relegation then. So you want to see it to a conclusion and that promotion and relegation should come to fruition.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's too many big issues, really. When you look at just for example, the Championship and the Premiership, Liverpool are, whilst I know you could give them that, they don't want to be given it. They want to win it on their own terms. They've waited so many years. And then you look at the European positions, and then you look at relegation, and you look at Villa, who they win the game in hand and they're out the bottom 3. You can't be relegating teams in that situation. Likewise, Leeds, West Brom are the 2 favourites to come up. Leeds have been wanting to come up for how many years? You cannot say to them, we're gonna chuck the league and start again. I just think we've got to do that. I know that FIFA or UEFA, or whoever it is, they've got to organise the Champions League during the next few months. So they need answers quickly.
So you're saying finish what you started before we all talk about the season 21-22 or 2021. Sort this one out first.
That's what I think. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
Even if it meant starting 2021 at Christmas, that I would get the 9 games whenever the scientists say that it's possible to do it. And it might do, like you say, we might be able to do that with the club behind closed doors, isolating all the squads, getting those 9 games out of the way. At least it won't be an ideal situation, but at least the results will be determined on the field of play.
Yes, and then you don't have 2 unideal situations stretching into 2 seasons. You're right, finish one. Hopefully we'll all be set for a new one after that as well. Looking at, so many clubs, I mean, you've taken so many clubs up, you've gone down as well, and former clubs. As a lad, you were a Sheffield United supporter. You had the privilege and honour of managing Sheffield United as well. Goodness me, sometimes you've got to rub your eyes and see what they've done under Chris Wilder, though, these days.
Well, I just think it's an amazing tactical genius. He's played this way all the way, and even now when I watch it, I don't know which way to combat it. The way they play, we when we went up at Cardiff, they just missed out on the playoffs, and we played them. We equalised in the 90th minute, and we could have got beat 3 or 4 easily. We equalised in the 90th minute, which was a great point. But you've got people doing things that I've never heard of before, and he's, Chris because he's a I say a Yorkshire lad, but because he's like he is, he's not everybody's cup of tea. He's not, Mr. Smoothie or anything like that. He says it how it is. But his tactics are amazing. And they quite easily, I've said all along, they could quite easily get in the European positions this year. And I've said that from day one, not just now, because nobody knows how to play against them. Home or away, they'll have a 20-minute spell like they did against Man United, where other teams will just work it out for 10 minutes and score goals. But in general, they've got a system that is so difficult.
Do you see a lot of yourself in Chris?
Well, I think he's a little bit like me, passionate wise. I think he likes his players to play with. We always, and when you manage a club like Sheffield United, when you live, you've been born in Sheffield, like Chris and myself. the steel works. My dad worked in the steel. All right, I'm older than Chris, but you're brought up in that era where, blue and white, red and white, Wednesday United, and they go to work and they work hard. People in Sheffield, I'm not saying they don't everywhere else in the country, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They're all hard workers. They go in the pubs and they're all having this and the talk, and it's you contribute to all that when you're the manager of the club. And at the moment, Sheffield United, the fans can't believe it, and now they've sorted the ownership out, and that's in a good place now. I think Chris knows where he's at. The Prince is supporting him as well with the players that he wanted at Christmas, and I just think it's a fabulous time to be United, mate. And I think he's doing an amazing job.
I've heard people saying about you, you're a really good man manager because you knew who to shout at because it would bring something out of them, and you knew who not to. And you're a human guy, you're a real guy. Well, what sort of guy are you? How would you have described yourself as a manager? What were you like to play for?
I think when I started off in management, as far back as Gainsborough Trinity, my first club, I had a lot of managers. I was Kevin Randall, who sadly passed away now. He used to say to me as a teammate at Chesterfield when I first started, "You're the only guy I know who's made a success out of being a failure." That's what he said. And I had 12 clubs or something like that. And it was a brainless winger. But I had a lot of managers. And a lot of managers I tried to take. I knew that I could never get to the top as a player. I wasn't good enough. Whereas as a manager, when I started, I thought, I want to try and get to the top. So what do you want as a player? And what you want as a player is you want to be able to come into work in the morning smiling. You want to come in and enjoy it, that period you're in work. And I had a few managers where I dreaded it. I had one manager who would pass you in the corridor and not even speak, and then I had another one, and then Len Ashurst, who was at Hartlepool with me. I learned more from Len than anybody else because Hartlepool hadn't got anything. I think we were going to get knocked out of the league. We got knocked out of the cup with a non-league team at Boston. And then he had us in, instead of throwing the towel in, he did things what I've never seen about and turned it all round. And I think when I looked at that, I thought, I want to be more of a Len Ashurst than certain other managers that I'd worked with who, Now, yes, I give a rollicking now if they don't. I have a way I want my team to play. I don't want anybody to shirk a tackle or a header or things like that. I want passion and etc. And I'll give a rollicking now. But when I've given that rollicking during the game or half time or full time, when I go out of the door after, that's gone. If you ask any of my players, that don't go into Saturday night. It doesn't go into Sunday or Monday. That's gone out the door. Yes, I can give somebody a rocket, but when I do that, I'll always end up, before I leave that day, I'll always end up by talking to that player in a way and making sure he knows how much I rate him.
Yeah, but okay, so say you were a manager and you had a sales force. Say you had a group of people who were selling cars under you or something. Your tactics may be very similar, but in the workplace today with human resources and all that sort of thing, you can't rollick people. I understand what you're doing, but times have changed. Have managers changed?
You have to do if you want to manage in today's society. I mean, like you said, things that we did 40 years ago. I mean, crikey, it's unbelievable. So you have to change as society has changed. But I think we're to blame for that as well. I mean, when we were kids, we we took our jumpers off for goalposts and did this and the other. And when we grew up, we wanted our kids to have more than what we had. We wanted to give them a better chance. And so we wanted this. So we bought them this. Now it's a telephone. Then it's an iPad. Then it's a computer. Then it's something else. And then you look back and say, why aren't they playing it in the parks anymore? And why aren't they, we supposedly have made it better society, but I don't think we have. I think it's convenient now, but I don't think we've made better people by what we've done. It's just more convenient that they have all these things nowadays. If anything, this virus has showed us how it used to be at times, really. And you can get enjoyment without having a television on or a computer on or your phone at the side of your ear. It is difficult now, Eamonn, top level. Premier League is so difficult now because you cannot. There are one or two, like Sheffield United have done it, really, Chris. There aren't many clubs now where in the Premier League where you've just got your English-based players, etc. You have to look to get value for money. We've probably overpriced our players, the top players, over the last few years. That you have to go abroad to bring players in. Then you've got different, different attitudes and etc. etc. It is so difficult because that's how I manage. I manage by putting my arm around them. I think I know what I'm doing tactically as well, and I get my team around me. And I think the nicest thing for me is I don't think many players who have played for me will have many bad things to say about me. They might have had a few rollickings, but I think overall most players have enjoyed playing for me.
Here's what I don't understand, right? So you're in the dressing room and you have to give a rollicking or motivation, whatever, and you say, you messed that up. Where were you when this happened or whatever, which is all fine, all well and good, until that guy stands up and he's, 3 foot taller than you. Do you ever consider who you're actually going to rollick in case they stand up against you?
No, I remember, I'm sure most people have seen 1 or 2 clips of me on YouTube when I was younger on the manager. I remember a famous one with Chris Morgan at Sheffield United when we conceded an equaliser. I can see it now, Julian Lescott in the last minute against Wolves. And we came in and, I let rip. And I did it. And he stands up and he does that and another. But no, you don't plan who to give a rollicking to. There'll be times where the staff have said to me, Gaffer, you've got to get into these now. You've got to give them a bolking, that type of thing. And I agree with them up to a point, if it's that, we've been lethargic in the first half and we've not done what we planned on the training ground and things like that. So you have to go around, but you've got to try and be constructive with players. And why are you giving them a rollick? They've got to understand.
Yes.
It's not a rollicking. I've never rollicked anybody for the sake of rollicking anybody. It's got to be for a reason, really.
How would you look back on that career? You've been a manager, involved in management since you were 30 years of age when you gave up playing. How would you like people to sum you up as a manager?
You know me. I play to the crowds at times. Like the local lads at Bristol. I always said when I pass away, I don't want them giving me a minute's applause. I want them to boo me for a minute. But I think the humour's got to still be in football.
Uh-huh.
When I get off the bus, I always had 10 minutes talking to the opponent fans and signing autographs. And I always picked on a young lad and said, "Sorry, you're going to go unhappy tonight, son."
Yeah.
His dad would react, But I think the biggest thing that I don't like at the moment, I don't like players getting off the bus with headphones and not talking to fans. I think they've forgotten the fans at the minute. And I'd like to think that wherever I've been, when I've left the clubs, they've been in a better position. And I've had 8 promotions. And I bet you every one of those 8 promotions, they still have get-togethers every 10 years or whatever. Are you with me? The same group of lads. And I can go in as if it was tomorrow. Even the team's fans who have given me stick over the years, even I know they respect me deep down. And I think that if I've given something to talk about and I've given them something to smile about as well, whether they like me or they don't like me, I think I've left the places that have been in a better situation. And I think as a manager, that's all you can do. You can only try and leave your club, because you're going to get the sack, whoever you are, whenever. You're going to get the sack at some stage. And so whenever you leave a club, try and leave it in the best possible situation. And, I'm quite proud of the clubs I've had and how I left them and where they are today.
Well, Neil Warnock, Mr. Football, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Cheers, Eamonn.
Thank you very much. If you enjoyed that interview, you can listen to many more podcasts wherever you get your podcasts from, or you can watch interviews with Sean Dyche and Brendan Rodgers, as well as Neil Warnock on my Facebook page or the Eamonn and The Gaffers YouTube channel.